Hello, everyone there in Advisors Nation. This is Chris Gaddis. We are jumping back into our New Advisors series here on YouTube. So I'm happy to share another video with you. We're going to be talking all things business model today. I think this is something that a lot of advisors, when they're starting out, don't put a lot of thought into. And I think it's something that certainly will benefit everybody. And just that little extra planning, that little extra just thought that's going to go into it is really going to set you up for success, as we're going to learn here in this video. So excited to share this all with you. Let's jump in. The first thing I want to do is just share a little quote with you. Success is the sum of our efforts repeated day in and day out. Okay? So I think this is the intentional efforts we're talking about, that we know what we're doing. We come into the office every day. We have an agenda. We have a model. We're setting ourselves up for success every single day. So the agenda for today, we're going to talk about our optimal work week. We're going to talk about whether we niche or we don't niche. We're going to talk client onboarding, new clients, that is, and then also service model, how you service your clients throughout the year, how you work with them, and ultimately tracking. We can't improve what we don't track. We got to know the numbers. We got to know what's going on, where our weaknesses are, all very important things as we're kind of moving forward here. So this is actually a image of a work week I created many years ago. It's a little outdated, but this was when I was a new advisor and I was just getting started. It was one of the things that was taught to me. And as you can see there, I put my bedtime in, my church time, my scripture study, my personal time, time with family, all of these things. But if you look at my work week, all right, I did play basketball Tuesday and Thursday mornings. I enjoy a little basketball. But, we set morning meetings. We set up prep, time for our client meetings. Setting yourself up like this with an optimal week avoids that feeling of just craziness, back and forth, trying to get things done. You're running late on deadlines. You got a client meeting coming up you haven't prepared for, done any casework. Setting that time aside and scheduling that time is very, very important. All right, so niching. Once we set up that kind of work week to start to govern us and set us up on a schedule and really provide that we have time to do the things we need to do, the benefit of niching becomes real apparent when we can focus our energy similar to when we're focused our energies during our week. I am a strong believer in niche. Here at Advisors, we preach niche for many, many reasons. Niching allows you to create a central, focused message to prospects and to people. Okay? When you are working on many different tasks, you know how your mind gets cluttered. You're all different things. You're not very productive. Same thing with marketing. Same thing with getting a message out there trying to find prospects. You're just shooting, if you're out there duck hunting, shooting, bird shot all over the place instead of, rifling, snipering, exactly what you're looking at. That's the message we want, a sniper-focused message. All right, what this does for us, it enhances customer relationships. If you're the go-to for a certain niche, and now niche can be many different things. It can be a title, it could be a profession, it could be a particular skill, hobby, expertise that you have. All right, there's many. It could be a faith, your political views. It's like-minded people. It's a group of people that have something in common, right? That's niche. Let's not get too narrow in that focus. There's many different things you can niche in. There's plenty out there. We'll have other videos, I'm sure, on niching. But in general, this allows you to create those enhanced customer relationships. When you're the go-to guy for a particular guy or girl for a particular subject matter, for a particular profession, it just creates better relationships. It also reduces competition. If you have someone out there that's out there trying to be all things to all people, marketing, spending tons of dollars on ads and everything else, you're not focused on that. You're focused on one group, and there's much fewer advisors focusing on that group just by the numbers, right? Increased visibility as well. If you focus your marketing efforts, your content, all of those things, if people start Googling you, you work on that SEO, they're going to start seeing that your name's popping up, right? So you're going to get increased visibility with those types of groups. Word of mouth growth is tremendous. The ability to be referable is something that a business model provides you. It's something that one of my early mentors taught me. When you have a process and you can articulate that to a prospect, they can articulate it to their friends and family, and they can refer you. All right, so word of mouth growth becomes great here for many reasons, including that when you do something really good for somebody in a particular niche and they know other people, we tend to, birds of a feather, right? They tend to hang out with people that are similar to them. And so when you're able to do that, they'll be able to tell you how great they are. They love to brag about that. Coffee, or sitting around the cooler, coffee breaks, whatever. All that stuff is very good for your business. You get to hone your expertise. Huge, especially early in the business. There's so much you need to know. When you're early in the business, honing your expertise, focusing on one area is a huge benefit. This also leads to fewer resources expended, both time, energy, money. If you're trying to be all things to all people out there and all different things, you're not focused, you're having to expend a lot of resource and energy, time, and money. When you can focus that, all of those things become much more scalable and much more cost effective for sure, right? You know where you're going at, you know where to find those people, you know how to do that. And you just have more fun. You can reverse engineer the practice you want. If you're just starting out, you say, man, 20, 30 years from now, we'd love to work with just golfers, people that love golf. I'm out there golfing all day. I'd love to work with whiskey enthusiasts. I'd love to work with just business owners, right? Physicians, any number of things. It allows you to reverse engineer a practice 20, 30 years in the future that makes it a lot of fun to stick around. You're going to enjoy the people you're working with, and you're going to find it very rewarding and fulfilling. All right, so niching is great. Very important. Spend a lot of time there, but the client onboarding process becomes part of that business model. When you're able to identify the niche and build that foundation, now you can really customize everything to them. So client onboarding is very simple, and this is where knowing your customer is also really important. So when you have a niche, you know their problems, you know their time, you know how open they are to multiple meetings, one meeting, whatever it is. So it informs your client onboarding process. So here's some questions to consider. How many meetings are you going to have? All right, is there any paperwork needed prior to or during? I'll be honest with you. I tried to do the prior to, and it got very hard to do that, and people weren't doing it, and it was delaying my first meeting. We're just like, you know what? We'll fill it out in the first meeting together. So I created that meeting. We did it together. All very personal to how you want to do it. How will you position planning potentially, right? That's very important because this goes down to business model. How are you charging fees? How are you paid? Are you going to work as an agent or a broker and get paid by the companies? Are you going to do advice-based, depending on your licenses, check with compliance, all of that, right? But that becomes very important, including the deliverables that are going to be delivered with that planning process. There's a different set of forms, your ABVs, all that stuff that has to be done. Implementation will be done all at once or in phases. I know a lot of advisors like to create kind of quarters and break it up. We'll work on certain things this quarter, certain things next quarter, whether it's, all right, today we're just going to do rollovers this quarter, next quarter we're going to work on life insurance, whatever that may be. Technology is huge, and there's a lot of options depending upon if you're independent or working for somebody. Some of those decisions might be made for you, but technology, what technology is going to be used, how are you going to use it? Are you going to use it to interact with your customers? Are you going to use it for tracking? All of those things. Referrals become very important. Again, I mentioned already, a defined process is referable. Someone can tell you what they're doing. Someone can explain to you how you help them in a similar circumstance as far as the niche or the market or the type of person you're working with. Having a process like that educate your customers on clients and how you work and creating referrals is huge. How do you track those activities, right? All of this stuff is great. How are you tracking? How are you making sure you're not dropping the ball? Are you using CRM, using Excel, whatever it is you're doing? How are you tracking it, making sure it's all happening, all of it's being done, and checklists, whatever it may be. There's a really cool graphic here I want to show you. I got a couple of them for you today. So this is an annual client service calendar, right? How are you helping your clients on a basis? So that's what I was talking about here, right? So if you look at this, January, budget and debt review, check credit scores. You can use this client service calendar for existing clients and for new prospects as far as onboarding. Showing them something like this, doesn't have to be this, just an example, allows you to really define exactly how things are going to go, manage expectations fully. They understand what's going to happen when. These are all very good things to get in the habit of early on in your career, in my experience. All right. Your ongoing model, and this leads right into that annual client service model, the onboarding model, all of those things lead into how often you're meeting again, right? Am I doing quarterly reviews? Are they semi-annually? Annually? A lot of it's going to depend on the type of client, right? You hear a lot of ABC clients. Maybe you start that early. You're planning clients, you meet with a certain amount of time. They know right from the beginning. Again, as you build this out, when you sit with someone and articulate it, it makes the sales process a lot easier. If they're paying you a fee, all right, they get you 4 times a year, quarterly. If they're not, but they did a lot of business with you, maybe they're that B tier, we're going to meet every 6 months. If it's just someone that's transactional or just a couple accounts still building wealth, maybe they're once a year. We're just going to do a check-in. All right. You can start to build this out. What are the agendas for those meetings? They're coming to these meetings. Can't be shooting from the hip. Spelled out agenda, things you're looking to accomplish. Make sure they know what you want to do. And that's very important for you, for them, for anyone you hire, creating that repeatable process. Paperwork that's needed, right? If you're doing AUM or planning, there's usually an annual form that needs to be filled out for review or renewing that plan. So any forms or paperwork that you need, certainly review of beneficiaries, all of that. Making these meetings deliver value still is very important. Just having them come in for the sake of meeting, that's going to wear thin on them very quickly. You have to deliver value. So again, you want to put some thought into how often you're meeting, what you're doing during those meetings, and what client fits those meetings as far as the service model and how often you're meeting with them. Are you doing events? Are you sending birthday letters? All those things are things you want to think about ahead of time and set up processes. If you're trying to figure it out on the back end after you bring on new clients, you're trying to process business, trying to bring someone new on to help you, it's going to get confusing very fast. You're going to drop the ball on it. Think about these things prior. Know how it works. I used to do a little, after I did new business with somebody, I'd send them a little postcard, and I'd put a couple little 25-cent packs of now and laters in it. I said, thanks for letting me help you now. I look forward to helping you later. Just something really simple like that. You would not believe the amount of goodwill that created with my clients. Probably 50 cents, in candy, another 50 cents to mail a thing. Huge benefit. So just little things like that. The financial planning renewal process, right? AUM process, all those things can be a little tricky. So understand that, articulate it, help them to know how that works. There's some really cool strategies out there for that as well. Maybe you're taking the fee monthly into a brokerage account, and every year you're taking those funds and paying your fee. So it's like a monthly subscription almost without that big payment every year. There's a lot of cool things you can do. Again, check with compliance and your broker dealer. Technology again becomes huge here on follow-up and service. What CRMs or things do you have going into this? What technology you have from your broker dealer or the partners that you're working with? What can you use? What will they allow you to use to really manage this and get this down to a science is what you have to do. You have to do it if you want to be a business owner and run a successful practice and scale this thing up to 100, 200 clients, people underneath you, all of those things. And again, tracking activities, very important. You can't improve what you don't know. So even putting in a process to get feedback from your clients. How was the onboarding process? How is my client service model? What can I do to be better? All those are great things to implement as well. So there's another graphic here that's a client service calendar, right? And again, just kind of spelling this out. Maybe your client review process is, all right, we're looking at one quarter, we'll look at all of your beneficiaries, right? Maybe we're just looking at portfolios every 6 months. However you build this out, capital gains reporting, right? If we've got non-qualified non-qualified funds. Newsletters, communications with clients, also great things to do. Again, this is when you look at your technology or your marketing available through your broker dealer, see what's available to you. Those touches that don't require your time, automating birthday, an anniversary letters and messages or mailings or whatever you're doing. Using technology to leverage your time and creating those touches without having to physically make a call, sit down with them, also go a very long way. Most people just want to know you're there if they need them, how to find you, that they're going to hear from you, and just those touches let them know that you are. Alrighty, so we are cruising right along here, and tracking. This will be the last little thing we're gonna go over. Tracking for many reasons. You're gonna talk to a lot of people in your career, and starting out, you're gonna stumble over yourself a little bit, right? You're learning. You're trying to get your feet under. You're trying to understand how to position yourself, your services, your model, all the things that you're doing. So creating tracking is very important. CRM technology is the best way to do that, creating pipelines or setting tasks that automate when you move things down a pipeline. But also Excel, if you got to start out somewhere, funds are tight, Excel's fine as well. Set yourself up for success by making sure you have this in place. Collect as much information as possible on these prospects and clients as you're kind of going into this. You want to be in the information game. The more you know about your clients, the better off you're going to be in the future in helping them and building your practice. All right, automating and using technology as much as possible as well. Huge benefit to you, huge benefit. Building those checklists. As you grow, you're going to have a lot of people to talk to. And when you're going into a meeting trying to figure out each time, what paper do I need? What do I print off this? Where do I get that? Having that stuff all spelled out, ready to go, will save you a lot of time, make you look very professional, and make sure, again, just buttoned up, everything is taken care of. The last thing you want is a compliance issue, missing things in the file when you're getting audited, FINRA's coming in, whatever it may be, trying to put all those things together. Those checklists will also help you when you hire somebody or even start working with a team or anything like that. You'll be very valuable to those members. Create systems and use staff. Again, these systems that we're talking about, onboarding, service. Am I doing events, right? If I'm running a quarterly event, who am I inviting to those? All of those processes, documenting them, having them there. You're going to have to do a lot of this. Let's be honest. Starting out, it's a one-man show, one-person show normally starting out. So here, we want to add, if we add some staff in the future, an assistant, part-time, full-time, doesn't matter. You're able to hand them a checklist, hand them an SOP on how you handle things. It's a great way to operate. And then again, technology. Can't stress that enough. Use technology to the best of your ability. All right. Now, I wanted to share with you one last image here. And that is one that Michael Kites, his friend of advisors here, shared an article that they wrote. So this is really cool. Not only did he put like kind of the steps on the onboarding process, but the technology he was using during that process. So this is a great way to really, again, articulate to your clients what you're doing, the value you bring, using technology, having a spelled out process, and you fully understanding it as well. All right. Again, a lot of advisors piecemeal things as they go along because they're just trying to write business, just trying to stay in business, right? There's a reason a large majority of advisors fail in the first couple of years. All right. And there's a large reason why they're just focused on sales, just staying in the business, making money. Setting yourself up for success is building out that model, understanding what your model is, and articulating it to your prospects. All right. Thanks, everybody. It's Chris with Advisorist. See you next time.